The illness no one could stop, wind moved softly across the quiet hills of an alien world called Viridia. In the center of a small village made of stone and roots, a mother sat holding her daughter close. Her name was Lorea, a proud woman, with glowing skin the color of dusk. Her eyes were tired, her hands shaking, but she refused to let go. Her daughter, Nemia, was only 7 seasons old, once full of life and laughter. Now she was quiet, weak, her skin pale. Every day, she coughed harder. Every night, her breathing grew slower. No one knew what was killing her. "Please," Lorea whispered, brushing Nemia's silver hair from her face, "stay with me." The healers of the village had tried everything. Herbs from the forest, light crystals from the mountains, songs, passed down for generations. Nothing worked. One by one, they stepped away, shaking their heads. "It is the stars' will," an elder said. She was not meant to live long. Lorea did not believe that. She had watched the stars. She had prayed to them. They had been silent. She carried Nemia to the high cliffs, where the wind touched the sky. She screamed up into the light, hoping someone would hear. The wind gave no answer. As the days passed, Nemia stopped eating. She no longer opened her eyes. The villagers began to avoid them. Whispers spread. "The child is cursed," they said. "Her sickness is unnatural." But Lorea would not give up. Then, one evening, as the twin suns began to fall below the horizon, an old traveler approached her tent. His back was bent, his voice cracked, but his eyes were sharp. "I saw a man," he said. "Not from our world, a human. He lives beyond the dead rocks, past the fire trees. They say he carries tools of healing." "Machines of light, a human?" Lorea asked. He nodded. "They say he saved a beast once, with nothing but light and metal. Maybe he can help your daughter." Hope was dangerous. It gave fire to the heart, but it burned when left alone. Still, Lorea stood up, held her daughter close, and walked. The journey was hard. The lands beyond the village were not safe. Twisted trees groaned, as if alive, and creatures with glowing eyes watched from the shadows. But Lorea did not stop. She wrapped Nemia in warm furs, and kept walking, even when her legs screamed in pain. On the 3rd night, storm winds tore across the rocks. Lorea found shelter in a cave, and held her daughter tight. Nemia's breathing was soft, almost gone. Lorea cried silently. "Don't leave me," she whispered. "Please, just hold on a little longer." At dawn, she saw it, a strange shape. On the horizon, metal walls, broken antennas, and soft lights blinking in the wind. It was not of her world. It looked like a fallen star. She walked toward it, heart racing. A human stood outside, wearing torn clothing and armor. He had short, brown hair, tired eyes, and a tool in his hand. He turned when he saw her, surprised, cautious. "Who are you?" he asked, in broken Viridian language. "I am Lorea," she said. "My daughter is dying. Please, help her." He stared at her for a long moment. Then he looked at the girl in her arms. Nenem looked like she was sleeping, but she was not. She was barely holding on. The man nodded slowly. "Come inside." The place was small, just one room, made of metal and strange lights. It smelled like dust, an old fire. The man cleared a table and gently placed Nemia down. He touched her neck, checked her pulse, then pulled out a small device that beeped and blinked. "She's very sick," he said. "Can you help her?" "I don't know," he answered, "but I'll try." For the first time in weeks, Lorea let herself hope. As the human worked, Lorea sat by Nemia's side. She watched his hands move fast, his eyes focused. Strange lights passed over her daughter's skin. The beeping from the machine changed. The air felt thick with silence. Luya didn't know this man, didn't know his name, or where he came from, but in that small metal room, far from her people, far from the stars, she knew one thing: he was the only chance her daughter had, and that was enough. A stranger in the wasteland room was silent, except for the soft hum of the human's machine. Eli Carter leaned over the alien girl's fragile body. Her breathing was slow, barely there. Her skin glowed faintly, veins pulsing with a strange blue light. He had never seen anything like this, even after working on 3 alien worlds, after seeing injuries caused by plasma burns, toxic spores, and alien parasites. This was different. He stared at the screen of his handheld scanner. It blinked in confusion. "This doesn't make sense," he whispered. Luria stood quietly near the wall, arms crossed tightly, her eyes locked on her daughter. She didn't speak. She didn't cry. She just watched, holding herself together like cracked glass, one breath away from shattering. "What do you mean?" she asked finally. Eli showed her the screen. Green lines danced across it, overlapping with red symbols. Her body is rejecting itself. Her blood cells are fighting each other. Her organs are slowing down one by one. But the weird part is, she should already be dead. Then why is she still alive? "I don't know," he said honestly. "Maybe she's stronger than anyone thought." Eli had been hiding in this metal shelter for months, ever since his ship crashed during a scouting mission. He had lost contact with command. His supplies were low. Most of his tech was old or damaged, but he still had his hands, his skills, and maybe that was enough. He looked at Nemia again. She reminded him of his niece back on Earth. Soft eyes, small hands, pure, innocent, undeserving of pain. He couldn't let her die. "I need time," he said, "and I need your trust." Luria nodded without hesitation. "She's all I have." Eli started working. He cleaned her skin with sterile wipes, placed small metal discs across her chest to monitor her heart, injected her with a tiny amount of human stabilizer fluid. She twitched slightly, but her heart rate rose a little. It was working slowly, as the sun outside dipped behind black mountains. Luria sat beside the metal bed, whispering songs from her childhood, songs about strength, about stars, about never giving up. She didn't know if Nemia could hear her, but she sang anyway. Night came with howling winds. The shelter rattled with every gust. Outside, the wasteland stretched endlessly, rocks, dead trees, dust storms. No one came here. No one survived here. It was a graveyard of forgotten travelers. Eli opened a second case, one he hadn't touched in months. Inside were the last few vials of nanoserum, illegal in many systems, but powerful, designed to speed up healing, dangerous in the wrong body. He stared at the vial. "This could help her," he said. "Or it could kill her instantly." Luria's voice was calm. "What would you do if she were your blood?" He looked up at her. Her eyes were steady, unafraid, full of pain but stronger than any soldier he had fought beside. "I'd take the risk," he said. "Then do it." He took a deep breath and injected 1 drop of the serum into Nemia's arm. 1 drop. Then he waited. 5 minutes passed. Nothing. 10 minutes. Her fingers twitched. 20 minutes. Her breathing changed smoother, deeper. Eli stared at the screen. The numbers were stabilizing. "It's working," he whispered. "It's really working." Luria covered her mouth with both hands, tears finally escaping her eyes. Not of sadness, but of hope. Small and trembling, but real. But just as relief filled the room, there was a sound outside. A heavy thud. Then another dot. Eli grabbed his weapon from the wall. A small pulse rifle, low on power, but enough to scare something off. "Stay here," he told Luria. He stepped outside into the wind. Darkness wrapped around him like a blanket. He scanned the area. Something was out there. A figure moved between the rock stall, hunched with glowing yellow eyes. Not human, not animal. Another thud. Another shadow. They weren't alone. He raised his weapon. "Who's there?" No answer. Only the wind. But inside the shelter, Nemia stirred. Her eyes fluttered open, for the first time in days. "Double quotes, Mama," she whispered. Luria rushed to her side. grabbing her hand. I'm here, little star. I'm here, outside. Eli backed toward the door, keeping his aim steady. He didn't know what those creatures were, but they weren't coming for him. They were coming for her, for the girl who shouldn't be alive, and someone didn't want her to live. The treatment that shouldn't work. The wind outside howled like an ancient ghost. Inside the shelter, Eli stood frozen, eyes on the rocks beyond the door. Something was watching. Something wasn't natural. Behind him, Nemia's voice cracked through the silence. Mama. Lorea wept softly, clutching her daughter's hand. After so many days of silence, the sound of Nemia's voice was like hearing light speak. Her little fingers wrapped weakly around her mother's palm. Eli took one last look outside before slamming the metal door shut. He locked every bolt and dragged a steel crate in front of it. The wind slammed against it, but nothing broke through yet. Something's out there, he said. It knew she woke up. What does it want? Not her, he said, thinking out loud. What's inside her? He turned back to the screen. The readings were changing fast. Nemia's cells were rebuilding. Not like normal healing, but faster, smarter. Her body wasn't just recovering. It was evolving. Her immune system. It's rewriting itself, Eli whispered. It's fixing the damaged tissue, building new proteins, creating defense systems we've never seen. This is more than medicine. It's adaptation. He reached for his communicator dead. No signal. He was still cut off from command. You said others have died from this illness. Eli asked Lorea. She nodded. Many children, the healers, said it was punishment from the stars. Eli shook his head. No, this wasn't a curse. This was a test. Someone made this. Lorea's eyes widened. Made, yes. Maybe a lab virus? Maybe a failed weapon? But it targeted something deep in your people's DNA. And your daughter? She's fighting back with something stronger. Nemia stirred again, her eyes slowly blinking. It's cold, she whispered. Eli wrapped a blanket around her, but she was shivering from something deeper than just the air. He knew she wouldn't survive without more help. But there was one last tool he hadn't used, yet an experimental injector. Illegal under human law, meant only for combat situations. It released billions of nanites into the bloodstream, teeny machines that could rebuild tissues, block diseases, even repair genetic damage. He had one dose, only one, and he had promised never to use it unless it was a matter of life and death. He looked at Nemi. This was that moment. What are you doing? Lorea asked as he pulled the injector from a hidden case. Giving her a second chance, he said, or killing her by mistake. Lorea stood. Then let it be me. Eli paused. What? Inject me first, she said. If it destroys me, then you will know. Eli stared at her, speechless. She was willing to die to protect her daughter. His hands tightened on the injector. No, he said firmly. You've already given everything. Now, it's my turn. He bent down beside Nemia and pressed the injector to her neck. She looked up at him, eyes glassy but calm. Will it hurt? She asked. Eli smiled gently, only for a second. Then, it might feel like flying. She nodded, and he pushed the button. The injector hissed. A burst of silver mist entered her bloodstream. At first nothing, then her body arched. Her mouth opened in a silent scream. Her skin shimmered with silver. Lines, like tiny lights, running under her veins. Eli grabbed her arms, holding her down as her body shook. Hold on, little star, Lorea cried. Don't let go. Suddenly stillness. Nemea collapsed back into the bed. Eli checked the monitor. Her heart rate dropped, and then surged her. Temperature stabilized. Oxygen levels rose. She's responding, he whispered. She's doing it. Then, from outside, a loud crash shook the shelter. The door bent inward slightly, groaning under pressure. Eli jumped up and aimed his weapon. They're here, he said. Who? Lurea asked, pulling Nemia into her arms. I don't know, Eli said, his voice tense. But they followed her signal. Maybe they created the virus. Maybe they don't want her to live long enough to become the cure. The shelter shook again. Eli looked down at Nemia. Her eyes were open, fully awake now. Her skin glowed softly, the silver lights under her veins calming. She smiled at him. Thank you, she whispered. Eli didn't know why, but he felt like he was staring at something more than just a child. He was looking at a future, a miracle, a new beginning, and now they had to protect her at all costs. The Elder's warning night passed. With heavy silence, Eli didn't sleep. He sat with his pulse rifle in his hands, watching the shelter's door. Outside, whatever had shaken it was gone for now, but he knew it would return. Something wanted Nemia gone. And now, she wasn't just a little girl anymore. She was the only one who survived the sickness, and that made her a target. Nemia lay quietly beside her mother. Her color had returned. Her breathing was smooth. The strange silver glow under her skin had dimmed, but not vanished. Eli had checked her scans 3 times already. Her cells were healing faster than anything he had ever seen. But that wasn't the strangest part. She was changing, not in a dangerous way, but in a way that frightened even him. She was evolving. Do you feel any different? Eli asked gently as she blinked awake. Nemia thought for a moment. The pain is gone, she said softly, but I can hear things, like whispers in the ground, and I can feel the stars when I close my eyes. Eli stared at her. This wasn't just healing. This was something new, something more. What have we done? He whispered. By morning, the sky above Viridia turned purple with the rising sun. Birds, with crystal wings, flew overhead. The air smelled of dry wind and broken soil. Eli knew they couldn't stay in the shelter forever. We need to take her back, Lurea said. My people must see she is alive. They won't accept her, Eli warned. Not like this. They must, Lurea replied. If this is a gift from the stars, they will understand. They packed what they could and began their journey back. Eli carried the medical kit. Lurea held her daughter close. They moved through the burnt forests, past sharp stones and whispering trees. Nemia walked on her own after a while, her steps slow but steady. By midday, they reached the edge of the village, and the whispers began. She's alive. That girl was cursed. No one survives that illness. People stepped back as they passed. Mothers pulled children indoors. The elders stood in a line near the sacred fire, robes flowing in the wind. Their faces were like stone. Lure. Yah walked forward, holding Nemia's hand proudly. She has returned, she said, and she is healed. Elder Tamun stepped forward, old and tall, with eyes sharp like knives. This is not healing, he said. This is corruption. The sickness marked her and something unnatural kept her alive. Eli stepped beside Lurea. I'm the one who helped her, he said, and she is no danger to anyone. The crowd gasped. A human in the sacred lands. You brought off-world tools, Tamun said. Machines that do not belong here. Your kind always tries to fix what it does not understand. Your own healers gave up on her, Eli replied coldly. I didn't. The elder pointed at Nemia. Look at her skin. The light under it. That's not from our gods. That's from the stars and not the good ones. Nemia stepped forward, her voice small but clear. I don't feel cursed, she said. I feel alive. The wind stopped. The fire crackled louder. A few villagers stepped forward to look closer. One old woman knelt before Nemia and touched her hand. Her eyes filled with tears. My granddaughter died of this same sickness, she whispered. But this child, this one lived. She is not a curse. She is hope. The crowd murmured. Tam's face twisted with anger. You endanger us all. The sickness was sent for a reason. Now we have interfered with it. Eli stepped forward again. Then tell me, elder, What is more dangerous? A child saved or a tradition that watches children die? The elder raised his staff to speak, but then something roared in the distance. The sound shook the trees. Birds fled. The ground trembled. Something was coming, something big. A black shadow rose beyond the cliffs. Wings stretched wide, body covered in metal and skin. It screeched, shaking the air. Villagers screamed and ran for cover. "What is that?" Eli shouted. "Luria," single quotes as face went pale. "We called it a guardian. Long ago, the priests said it watched over the mountain, but it never moved. Not until now." "What woke it?" he asked. Her answer was cold. Nemia. Eli looked down at the girl. She didn't look afraid. She looked ready. "They're coming for me," she said. "Who?" Eli asked. She pointed to the sky. "Not the stars we prayed to. The ones that forgot us." The creature shrieked again, flying closer. Eli raised his weapon. The villagers backed away. Luria held her daughter close. The guardian was here, and now they had to make a choice: protect what had changed, or lose everything again. The last breath before dawn, the creature's scream echoed across the cliffs, loud enough to shake the dust from the village rooftops. The sky above turned darker than night, though the suns had not yet set. The villagers who had once whispered about curses now fell silent, hiding behind stone walls and wooden doors. The metal-skinned beast, part machine, part flesh, descended from the sky like a shadow with wings. Its eyes burned orange. Its long claws cut the wind. It did not land. It hovered, watching, waiting. Nemia did not flinch. She stood beside her mother, her silver-lit veins glowing brighter beneath her skin. Her small hand tightened around Lura's fingers, but her eyes stayed focused on the thing above them. "It's not here to destroy the village," she said quietly. "It's here for me." Eli stood beside them, pulse rifle raised, heart pounding in his chest. "What do you mean? It's here for you. Do you know what that thing is?" Nemia nodded slowly. "Not with my mind, but my body remembers." Eli didn't understand. "That's not possible." But Luria did. "You said she was changing," she whispered. Eli looked at the scanner in his hand. The readings were spiking again, higher than before. Nini. Cells weren't just adapting now. They were reacting to something outside. "Her DNA is responding to that thing," he said. Like it's activating a memory in her blood." Suddenly, the beast's voice filled the air, not with sound, but with vibration, like thunder inside the mind. "Return the fragment." Everyone heard it, not with their ears, but with their thoughts. Nemia dropped to her knees, holding her head. Eli rushed forward. "She's in pain." The elder Tamun stepped from the shadows, holding a ceremonial blade. "This is the punishment for defying the stars. We must give her to it." "Now no," Luria shouted, standing in front of her daughter. "You will not touch her. You dare protect the one who brought this curse down upon us." "She is not a curse," Luria growled. "She is my child." The creature in the sky moved lower, its claws dragging along the stone as sparks flew. It opened its mouth. Inside was a red core, pulsing like a living heart. Eli realized what it was. It's scanning her, searching for something inside her. He said. "Nemea," gasped, her body glowing brighter. The sickness, it wasn't natural. It was a test. It was meant to awaken something, and now it has. Eli helped her to her feet. "Can you stop it?" She looked up at the beast. "I don't know, but I think it's waiting for me to choose." "Choose what?" "To surrender, or to become what it tried to build." The creature screamed again, this time with rage. Stone cracked. Lightning cracked across the skies. A windstorm exploded through the village, tearing down homes, flinging dust into the air. Nemea took one step forward. Luria cried out, "Nemea, no." But the girl turned to her mother, with tears in her eyes. "Mama, you gave me life. Now let me protect yours." Eli reached for her shoulder. You're just a child. Not anymore, she whispered. Nemia stepped into the open. The wind swirled around her. Her feet lifted slightly from the ground. The silver light from her veins spilled out of her skin like tiny stars. She raised her hand, and the creature stopped. Its wings folded. Its body hovered silently in her voice. There was no fear. You tried to use us, Nemia said. You infected our people. You called it a cure, but it was control. You failed. You are not complete, the creature answered. You are unstable. Maybe, she said, but I am free. The beast opened its core, energy building like fire. Eli shouted, she's going to be attacked. But Nemia didn't run. Instead, she reached inside herself. Her body shook. Her light grew brighter, and she screamed not in fear, but in power. A wave of silver exploded from her chest, like a pulse from a star. It hit the creature full force. The machine screamed, its metal cracking, its eyes dimming. The wave spread further through the village, over the hills, across the mountains. Then, silence. The beast crashed into the cliffs and shattered like stone. Nemia collapsed. Eli and Lurea rushed to her side. Nemia, her mother cried. Stay with me, please. Eli scanned her body. The readings were fading, her heart rate slowing. No, 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 no. She's shutting down. Her glow was gone. Her lips turned pale. Eli dropped to his knees. Don't you? Quit now, little star, he whispered, voice shaking. You didn't come this far to fade again. He started chest compressions. Again, nothing. He injected one final stim shot. Nothing. Luria held her close, her tears dripping onto her daughter's face. Come back to me, please. Then a tiny breath, a flicker of light in her chest. Her eyes fluttered open. Mama, she whispered, and the stars above began to shine again. The price of Hapith village was quiet, again but not peaceful. The creature lay shattered at the edge of the cliffs. Its metal body cracked open like a broken egg. Black smoke curled up into the purple sky. Some villagers crept out from behind stone walls, eyes wide with fear and awe, but no one came. Close, not to the human, not to the girl, not to the girl. Nemi sat on the cold ground, wrapped in her mother's arms. Her skin was still glowing, faint silver light pulsing under her veins like a star, trying to stay alive. Her breath was weak but steady. Her eyes were half open, blinking softly at the changing sky. She had done something no child, Dorado, had. She had defeated something the elders once called a guardian of the mountain. But instead of celebration, there was silence. Then fear. Elder Tamun approached with slow, heavy steps. Behind him were two warriors, carrying curved staffs, their armor dull from centuries of tradition. This is not over, Tamun said. Eli stepped in front of them, his rifle lowered, but ready. You're right, he said. It's just beginning. This child, Tamun pointed to Nimia, is no longer one of us. She holds power that does not belong to Viridia. She called. Lightning from her blood. Her body lights the dark like a machine. She is not safe. She saved your lives, Eli growled. At what cost? Tamun asked. The villagers behind him murmured. Some nodded. Some shook their heads. Fear was spreading. Eli looked around. The same people who had begged for help now stared at Nemia like she was something dangerous, something unnatural. Luria stood up, holding her daughter protectively. You said she was cursed. You said she would die, but she lived, and she protected all of you. She's not a child anymore, Tamun replied. She's something else, and we do not know what she'll become. Nemia tried to stand, but her legs trembled. Eli caught her before she fell. He helped her sit down on a nearby stone. She looked up at him, tears in her eyes. Am I a monster? She asked. No, he said softly. You're a miracle. Then why are they afraid of me? Eli couldn't answer, because deep inside, He knew the truth fear didn't need a reason. It just needed a change. And Nemia was a change too big to ignore. That night, Eli sat beside the fire outside the old healer's hut. Lurea slept inside with her daughter, who was now recovering slowly. Her heartbeat was strong, her skin warm, but the silver glow still pulsed under her skin, alive and growing. The old healer and outcast who had once warned the elders about star sickness sat beside Eli, drinking from a cup of bitter root. They won't let her stay, the healer said. She's just a child, Eli replied. She's not just anything now, the old woman said. You saw what she did. You felt what came out of her. That power, it didn't die with that creature. It moved into her. She saved everyone, and that makes her dangerous. People don't fear death as much as they fear what they don't understand. So what happens now? The healer turned to him. You take her away. What? Take her off this planet? Find someone who understands human techs, someone who can study what she's become. Because if you don't, they will kill. Her Eli's jaw tightened. She has a mother. Then take her too. The next morning, Eli told Lurea everything about the whispers, the healer's warning, the fear growing like fire behind every villager's smile. Lurea didn't speak for a long time. She looked at her daughter, still asleep, then at the horizon. We have lived on this world for thousands of years, she said. My mother was born in that house. Her mother before her. Everything we are is here. And if you stay, Eli said quietly, you'll lose her again. Tears ran down her face. Can you protect her? She asked. With my life? Then take us away from here. They packed under darkness. No one saw them leave. No one dared to follow. Eli led them toward the crash site of his old escape pod. Broken, yes, but some systems might still work. Maybe he could call for help. Maybe there was still a signal waiting to reach space. But as they crossed the ridge overlooking the forest below, Nemia paused. They're coming, she whispered. Eli turned. In the distance, torches flickered in the hands of a group of villagers. And in the center to moon, they followed us, Lurea said. Eli readied his weapon. No more running, he said. But Nemia stepped forward, her glow brighter now, her voice calm. No more fear. She raised her hand. The silver light shimmered bright, peaceful, strong, and the torches went out. Every single one. The villagers froze. Tamu undropped his staff, and no one moved again. Nemia turned to her mother and the human who had saved her life. We're not going to escape, she said. Then what are we doing? Eli asked. We're going to lead. A new life begins. The forest was quiet. Birds did not sing. The trees stood like ancient watchers. Only the sound of soft footsteps filled the air. 3 shadows, walking toward the forgotten edge of the world. Nemia, the girl who glowed with stars, led the way. Her mother, Lurea, walked beside her, proud and silent. Behind them, Eli carried a heavy bag of tools on his back, watching every movement around them. They had not returned to the village. They had not turned back toward the past. They were heading forward into the unknown, and for the first time, none of them were afraid. Deep in the valley below, beyond the fire trees and the old stone bridges, they found it. A city buried by time, towers made of stone and glass, now broken and swallowed by moss. Alien ruins, untouched for centuries. A place once called Chimera, the ancient seat of the sky speakers, the first people who had studied the stars before the sickness came. What is this place? Eli asked. Lurea stepped forward, her voice quiet. Our ancestors used to speak of it, a place of learning, of truth. It was destroyed when we turned away from knowledge and chose fear. Nemia touched a broken wall, and her veins glowed brighter. A symbol lit up beneath her hand, one Eli had seen in her scans. This place recognizes her, he said. No, Lurea whispered. She remembers it. They built a home there, beneath the ancient trees. where the light touched the ruins and the river still flowed, and they waited for months. No one came, but they knew someone would. They didn't hide. They prepared. Eli repaired his broken communication systems. He built sensors, scanners, and a clean lab for monitoring Nemeia's changing biology. Each day, her readings changed. Her body stabilized. Her cells no longer attacked themselves. They created new strands, more efficient, more alive. "You're becoming something new," he told her once. She smiled softly. "Maybe I'm becoming what we were always meant to be." One morning, the wind brought visitors, not soldiers, not hunters, but refugees. Mothers with sick children, fathers carrying burned maps, elders with tears in their eyes. They had walked through deserts and storms following rumors of a glowing child who brought life where death had ruled. Eli watched as they arrived one by one, scared, broken, silent. Nemeia stepped forward. She didn't give orders. She gave kindness, a hand held out, a place to sit, a word that said, "You're safe now." And just like that, Kaimara began to breathe again. A month later, the village they once escaped from, sent word. Elder Tamun was no longer in power. The people had spoken. They asked for Nemeia to return, not as a child, not as a symbol, but as their leader. Lurie was quiet that evening. "They once wanted to destroy you," she said to her daughter. "Now they wish to follow you. Should we trust them?" Eli asked. Nemi looked at the sky. "Hope doesn't come from perfect people," she said. "It comes from broken ones who are ready to change." And so she returned, not alone, but with hundreds at her side, not to seek revenge, but to offer something bigger, a new beginning. They called her Starborn, the one who survived, the one who rose. She created schools in the ruins of ancient cities, opened healing tents, using human tech and alien knowledge, allowed humans and aliens to study together, live together, protect one another. She was not a queen. She was not a god. She was a child who had once been sick, once abandoned, once saved, and now she saved others. 1 year later, Eli stood outside the medical dome at Kaimara, watching the stars blink above. Nem. Aa sat beside him, now stronger, taller, glowing with quiet power. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if I hadn't answered your mother's knock that night?" Eli asked. She smiled. "I don't have to wonder. I would have died. She would have buried me, and you would have stayed lost. And now we're found," she said. He looked at her, heart full. "You've given them a future." "No," she said. "You gave it to me. I'm just passing it on. Far beyond the stars." A signal blinked. A message from Earth, a reply to Eli's long-forgotten distress call. "Rescue ship incoming." The screen read. But he didn't move. Not yet, because he had found something on Viridia that wasn't part of any mission. He had found a girl who changed everything. A mother who never gave up, a people who finally opened their eyes, and in the silence of a new world, a new life had begun.